Prabhu, can you please repeat your question?
Yeah. It says that everything that we become fearless because of the bodily conception of life. And Prabhupada over and over repeated that message that we have to become, we are not this body, but somehow or other we are still lingering with that attachment. So my question to Maharaj, is there any practical way that we can measure that we are becoming free from the bodily conception of life?
Na sochati na kangsati. You know the verse. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na sochati. So measuring is based upon symptoms or qualities or characteristics. Prabhupada uses that word, characteristics. So a characteristic of one who is beyond the bodily conception of life are those three. Prasannatma, happiness within. Neither hankering or lamenting, that's the second. And seeing other living entities equally. Samak sarveshu bhuteshu. Those are symptoms or qualities by which we can gauge or measure how free we are from the bodily conception of life. Does that answer your question?
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Yes.
Maharaj, there is a question online. How did Vibhisana get motivated to take complete shelter? Is it Prarabdha or Guru?
Well, the seed came from association, we can say, came from association with Brahma. And even before that was the seed from his father, because during his childhood, he was studying Vedas. It doesn't give details, but his father was a great devotee, a great sadhu, a great sage, but also a devotee. And so we can assume from his father, from Brahma, the seed was there, and it grew and grew because he, presumably, we don't hear the detail, but he continued with the practices of a sadhu to nourish the seed. So it came from higher, bhakti comes from a higher position, not just from the sky.
Hare Krishna, devotees in Austin. Please, if you have any questions, please raise your hand.
There's something in the room here. Let's go there.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the wonderful class. I'm trying to understand what this concept of saralta. I was wondering if, what are the practical ways of, or practical manifestations of the quality of saralta?
What are the practical manifestations of surrender? That's your question?
Of saralta, simplicity.
Simplicity.
Simplicity, yes.
The characteristics of simplicity, or how to, which?
In our practical day-to-day dealings, how does it reflect? For example,
how does simplicity reflect?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a nice question. There's the simplicity of the Devakta, and there's, at least in this case, the simplicity of the Supreme Lord. The simplicity of the Supreme Lord we see on the screen here. It's to anyone without consideration, he gives shelter. That means there's no prior material qualification, no material disqualification. That's from the Supreme Lord side. That's his simplicity. And from our side, the simplicity is, using Bhaktisiddhanta's language, straightforwardness. He says, he writes, the saralata of a devotee or of a jiva is they are straightforward. No duplicity. The opposite is duplicity. Or when in speaking, you speak the truth. Certainly that's, exemplified by Ram. He never deviated from the truth. The example given by Bhaktisiddhanta in his writing is the young boy who wanted to become the disciple of Gautama, and Gautama wanted to know what's your gotra. So he went to his mother, and his mother said, "I don't know who your father is." So you're just say you're Satyakama Jabala. Satyakama Jabala. So he told the whole story to Gautama, and Gautama said, "I accept you, because the only one who's saralata or simple could speak this, because it's too embarrassing. So I accept you." And then gave the instruction, never depart from the truth. Gave him some service, never depart from the truth. That's the simplicity example given by Bhaktisiddhanta for us. That's a quality of a Brahmana. Now, a quality of a Vaishnava is Krishna is our shelter. That's the para satyam, param satyam. That's our position. The supreme shelter is the personality of Godhead, and that we don't deviate from that. That's our simplicity. That's how it manifests. So it goes back to the first list. If I have other shelters, then that's not my exclusive shelter. And that's what we encounter. We encounter other shelters, and we're attached to other shelters. And that's the cause of fearfulness. Back to Shamsundar's question online. When we have other shelters, then we're fearful. We don't let go, because that's shelter for us. How do we let go of what our shelter is? Because it means happiness, and it means vitality, it means who we are, and all those things. We don't let go. So we let go. Simplicity is you let go. But you take shelter of that which is substantial, sat. Nasate vijate bhavo nabhavo vijate sataha. From Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. We don't take shelter of asat, we take shelter of sat. That's simplicity. And consistently, at least we're cultivating in that direction. Consistently. That's simplicity. Okay. One more, and then because it's 12 o'clock.
Yeah. Radha Vallabh Prabhu, can you please go ahead and ask? Yes. Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you for the wonderful class. The question is, we are seeing such, as you just mentioned in the class, the Lord is so merciful and kind to Vibhisana.
Yes.
And really demonstrates his causeless mercy. So, for practicing sadhakas for us, that compassion and mercy comes through our spiritual authorities, spiritual master, and Guru Parapara. And we see that causeless mercy, deep compassion, love expressed. So, the recent understanding I got is, while the spiritual authorities are bridge to Krishna, but they are also our eternal associate. It's not that once we get connected with Krishna, the spiritual authorities disappear. So it is a life after life. It's fine to pray that I need association of my spiritual master or Guru Parapara. Is that a correct understanding?
Yes. Yes. The spiritual relationships in general, they're eternal. They may look differently when we're in different bodies or different, stages of life, but the spiritual relationships are spiritual. And spiritual means sat. Yes. Correct understanding.
I have one question, but not related to the current topic.
Okay, go ahead.
It mentioned about the Bhrigu Muni, that he approached first Lord Brahma, and he didn't offer his obeisances to Lord Brahma. and Lord Brahma became so agitated, angry with Bhrigu Muni. And then he approached Lord Shiva and he used his harsh word to criticize Lord Shiva. And he also becomes so angry that he ran after him to kill him. But when he approached
Vishnu.
then even he threw his kit to the chest of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu was even become so compassionate that my heart is so strong. I hope that I have not hurt yourself life. So in that process, he was trying to find out who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in that search. Is there any attempt on the Brahman side to act in those ways that he acted with Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva?
Our acharyas speak in the following way. It's twofold. One is the response of Brahma, the anger of Brahma and the anger of Shiva were inspired by the personality of Godhead in order to defer to Lord Vishnu. And it doesn't say this explicitly by our acharyas, but it's deductive that similarly Bhrigu doing what he did was inspired by the Supreme Lord. Now, if it was other than inspired by the Supreme Lord, if you neglected your father and verbally insulted Lord Shiva, then that's an offense. But given the purpose of Lord Vishnu being fulfilled, then it's not. No. Offense has a lot to do with intention. Supposing one inadvertently says something or neglects in doing something, is that an offense? It's not the same. So he was doing what he did because this was Lord Vishnu's plan to honor his devotees, but specifically to indicate the superiority of Vishnu above Brahma and Shiva. So everyone was acting according to the Lord's plan.
Thank you very much.
Intention makes all the difference in offense or not.
Thank you very much.
One more online question. Oh, do you have time, Guru Maharaj? Okay. This is from Austin devotee. Along with Vibhisana, the 4 ministers who came were also sheltered without any questions.
Yes.
All the discussion happened only for Vibhisana. My question is, Vibhisana's family is also virtuous, so were they also protected and accepted by Lord Ram?
Yes, because his wife was totally aligned with Vibhishan. Yes. When an exalted husband like Vibhishan was, becomes benefited and accepted by Lord Ramachandra, assuming that the wife is in alignment with her husband, she gets the same benefit. That's the Vedic system. Okay.
There's one question from Aradhita from Houston.
Okay.
May I ask Guru Maharaj?
Sure.
Okay, the question is, does one have to take 100% shelter to receive the mercy of the Lord?
Well, supposing you take 50% shelter or 10% shelter or 90% shelter, then that's what you get. Proportionate to you receive. Let me ask you, Aradhita, are you receiving mercy? And are you 100% sheltered? Are you submitting yourself 100% to the Supreme Lord? I would guess the answer to the first one is yes, and the second one is no. But each of us getting mercy according. When you stand in the sun, supposing you have an umbrella over you, then you're not getting the full light of the sun, but it's bright because you're out in the sun. You get the idea. Proportionate to. Okay, we're going to end there. And very sorry for the technology glitch, but once again, can they see this on their screens, or do you cut it? Okay. Tomorrow morning, 6:30 Central Time, same channel. We'll be discussing the same topic with Chinese translation, and the same slides, but with Chinese translations in addition to English translations. And the second is I will send to Chirag the version that you somehow was interrupted, so you can view it at your own leisure. And the audio recording you can listen to, etc. And we're crossing our fingers that we're not going to have more technology problems as we go forward. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. His Holiness Prabhupada Maharaj ki Jai.
Thank you.